Why Jordan Hawkins needs playing time for the Pelicans, presented to you by the Birdsall Lawfirm. Make sure you smash that like button. Let's do it.
First took away. Dash for this. Get your money's worth.
Joined with Lito and Ross tonight, as mentioned before, presented to you by the Birdsall Lawfirm, the official injury lawyers of Pro Pels Talk Located at 19 Poydras Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413. If you're someone you know has been involved in an accident, Birdsall Lawfirm, the official injury lawyers of Pro Pels Talk. Lito and Ross joining me tonight. We're talking strictly Jordan Hawkins. Lito, first off, before we get into this, make sure y'all check out the podcast Lito Chaz 5 and Chris did the other night, the Pelicans or the state of the Pelicans versus Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. Y'all were absolutely fantastic on that show. Lito, I'll start off with you first because I actually want to hear both of y'all's thoughts on this. The main reason why Jordan Hawkins is not playing, and I think we can all agree on this, is you can say, sure, he's struggling shooting wise, which I don't think he is. He's a defensive liability. And Lito, I'm confused because when I hear liability, especially a defensive liability, I think that he can't, like, he's just completely clueless defensively. He does nothing defensively. He does nothing to help you. I'll help you out. When I'm watching him, is he a great defender right now? Absolutely not. I want to make that very clear. He's not. Does he compete defensively? Yes. There's been 15 games this year. He's in 15 games this year. He's had 5 or more rebounds. In those games, the Pelicans are 9-7. 9-6. I'm going to show you a clip here for everyone watching on YouTube. I want to hear your thoughts on this, though, Leo.
Like they can't guard Valanciunas one-on-one throughout the game. They want to make him a passer. See how well can he pass out of the double team.
Grant with a 3 with Jones closing out.
Did you see Hawkins tag?
It's beautiful.
Tag Ayton, deny Ayton, get back to the corner. Shot goes up. He is beat baseline, shields him off with his right arm, tips it to Jonas Valanciunas with his left hand. That's just a clip. But what do you see? Like, do you see stuff like that more and more with Hawkins, or am I missing something?
I think the whole defensive liability jargon that people like to put on Hawkins is why he's not playing. Your 2 best players are defensive liability. Still play them. Like the guy is here to do one thing, and that's to give buckets. He's shooting 39% from 3 on the season, and I mean you can sample size whatever however you want to edge it. But the thing is, he gives effort, right? Like, he's not strong enough to compete today in certain areas. Listen, he tagged the NBA center for 2.5 seconds, which, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really get that. And then he rotated out. He guarded 2 people on that same play and got the rebound. Well, is the reason why you got the rebound on that possession. I don't give a shit about defense, Justin. I keep saying that. I don't care. Like, it's really 2 people on this team that play defense. Is Herb and Dyson. Other than that, nobody's playing defense. Like, everybody's guessing. Everybody, like, I could give you so many plays. I could provide clips of people in not knowing what defense we're in, rotating to the wrong person, like getting beat backdoor.
Not getting back? Yeah.
Like not even getting back, like not even giving you any effort on that. So like that, to me, that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. And when I think when you look at who's on this team and you look at Hawks' ceiling, his future, you playing against Najee's and Jose's and whoever, right? What the reason why you're not playing them? You're looking at today, but you're not looking at the future. Like, you got to get him minutes right now because, like, his ceiling is so much higher than those guys. He's going to be a better basketball player than them. If he's not a better basketball player than them already, he's the guy who can help in the playoffs.
Don't worry, that's a segment, because that is a segment. And there are a couple people that responded to some tweets today that we're going to get to as well. Ross, I'll play one more Jordan Hawkins defensive clip for you. So cuts him off, beats him middle, cuts him off, forces him back, knowing that Zion Williamson's coming there on the baseline. Zion sends the 4th row. Once again, I'm not saying he's a shutdown defender, but when you say liability, I'm now going to come back and be like, okay, I want you to show me clips of him being a liability. I don't think liability is competing because I see that Jordan Hawkins competes every possession, or is trying to at least. He's trying to make the right play. So when you hear defensive liability, partnered with Jordan Hawkins, what is your reaction to that?
My reaction is that I mostly agree. Like, but to Lito's point, like it doesn't matter. I mean, how many? You don't have to answer the question, but the amount of guys that come in as rookies, like NBA ready as defenders. I'm talking about physically, mentally, the whole thing. Like almost no one. I mean, maybe one or two guys, and I'm talking about per draft year, maybe one or two guys that you can comfortably put out there and say like, yeah, he's not going to just be bad or do some shit that. I mean, everybody thinks the NBA just rolls the ball out there and they just let them play. Like NBA offenses are sophisticated for the most part. They know how to find weaknesses. They take advantage of mismatches. It's not. I mean, we know that Hawkins has to get more mature physically, right? Like there's some stuff he's just going to get, but it takes time. And I think when you start talking about somebody being a defensive liability, well, sure, is he ready to be a stopper? No. But being a defensive liability, I think just saying those words ignores the benefit that he provides you on the other end. To Lito's point, we got 4 guys in the starting lineup that are defensive liabilities, in my opinion. Those guys have all been in the NBA for 5, 6, in some cases 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? Like, so it's this thing of, do we want to allow this guy to get some experience and improve on that end so that you can start to see some of those benefits that he provides you on the offensive side, or are we going to continue to give him DMPs?
And this is my problem, because the main question is, well, whose minutes is he taking? And usually you get a mixed bag of Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall. It was Dyson Daniels, and then he got hurt. But we talk about Jose Alvarado. That's not a shot at Jose. Like, people get kind of tricked with his, GTAs. He makes these great plays, and he has some steals and so on and so forth. But in a playoff series, coaching staffs are going to try to get that switch on Jose Alvarado and play through the post. I think you saw it last game. Who was it, Lito? It was who's the dude that just went off us for 40? What was his name?
For the Wizards, man.
Denny. Avdia.
Avdia.
Denny.
Multiple times in the second half, they would get the screen on Jose, and they would just post Jose up, and Avdia would play one-on-one, or they'd have to double, and then they have to be in rotation. It's not Jose's fault, but I'm just saying that I just think there are minutes out. I'm not saying Jordan Hawkins needs 15 to 18 minutes a night. I'm just saying that he can chip into Najee and Jose's minutes. They should, especially with Dyson Daniels out, they should at least give him 7 to 10 minutes a night, because if he does catch fire, he's a huge difference maker for the team. That's all I'm trying to say. And when you DMP him, go ahead, Lito.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when you DMP him, I feel like you're just not even you're not giving yourself a chance to even see like what you have with him. Like, you've seen what he's done, dude. He's dropped 2 30-point games this year. 2. Like,
yeah.
That's, for me, that's what's so hard for me to get over. And then Lito, did you want to say something? Because I was going into some lineups where you said
I do. Let me real quick, because I wanna what Ross said was very eloquent. I want to say this. You talk about not playing defense, right? Okay, so he can't play defense. Most first year like a wide receiver, right? He can probably get 1,000 yards, but he can't block, right? It's always going to be some sort of cross reference in that, like a first year running back. He's not going to be able to pick up a blitz, like, it's because he can't play defense, or because he doesn't play defense up to the standard of what you would want him to. That, to me, that's not a reason to play him. Because again, where this lies for me is Willie Green came from being a player development coach. So, in my opinion, if he can't do those things, then what are we doing to help him do those? You just not go play. You don't play him, and then that's it. That's the end of the story. You don't send him to the G League. He's not gonna get experience in game. Like, what are we doing to better him to get to that spot?
So there's another argument there, Leo. I'm glad you brought this up because I can't stand this argument because I believe you get better by playing. Whether it be G League or NBA, I don't care. As long as you're playing and learning the system that they want you to play in, defensive scheme, so on and so forth, you can get better. People think, though, that he will get better by just simply being on the team, working out daily, getting practices in, and working with NBA coaches. What are your thoughts on that?
Being on it, so he's going to get better being on a team full of non-defenders. That's gonna make him better because he's gonna watch those guys in front of him not be able to defend. I got
That's
it.
just some.
If that
That's
makes
just some
sense, hey,
people's argument.
if it makes sense, let's roll with that. I don't see that. That's brainless. I've never. Justin, you ever got better playing basketball with somebody who wasn't good at basketball?
No.
Ross, you ever got better being a kicker playing with a shitty ass kicker?
No, that's generally not how things work.
How am I going to get, unless he's working with Herb Jones again, a Dyson every day? Corey Brewer, I can see that, right? However, like, bro, you in-game experience is the father of learning. Like, that's the only way you get the experience.
You know what's
and a lot of people go ahead, Ross.
The focus is on how he improves, and I think people talk about it as he needs to play more defense. Like he's going to learn by playing more defense. I actually don't agree with that. Like, sure, is he going to get more experience and this, that, and the other? I think where he's going to really improve is understanding how people defend him.
Yep.
He's going to then be able to take that and say, okay, well, because your skill set, right? He knows he's a shooter. He knows how to move off the ball. He knows how to utilize screens. He knows how to do some of these spatial, he's got really good spatial awareness, things like that. I think what's going to benefit him the most defensively is by playing a lot and seeing how people defend him and understanding the physicality and understanding when to give space and when not to give space. Because that's where his focus is, right? Like, that's where he's comfortable. That's where he's continuing to do the things that kind of got him here. For me, that's where experience starts to matter is you then take what people are doing to you that's working or that's making you uncomfortable, and you start trying to do some of those things to other players, other wings, other guys that are trying to score the basketball. Like, that for me is why sending him to the G League is pointless for me. It makes it like, what's he going to do? He's going to go down there and score 40 and then like, what, play against some other two guard who sucks?
Yeah.
Like, for me, him going to the G League is worthless. He's just too good to be down there. We've talked about this. Like, you've got to find minutes for him here so that he's challenged. Like, I don't want him going down there scoring 50 points. I know he can do that. I don't give a shit. I care about him, like, playing against other people that are as good or better than him. That's how he's going to improve.
Yeah. And not to mention, we talked about rebounding. Lito, I think he's one of the best. No doubt. Like, I think he's one of the best rebounders on the team. And if you think I'm crazy, go watch him attack rebounds. And I'm talking offense and defensive rebounds. You go watch and get back to me and tell me that he's not a good rebounder, because he's had 15 games of 5 or more rebounds. I guarantee if you got continuous playing time, it'd be 20 to 25 games of 5 or more rebounds.
He has intangible. Listen, we talk about this. We talk about this often, Justin. You and I have had this conversation. Jordan Hawkins isn't a normal. We spoke about Trey Murphy and how it was kind of a shock to him that he got to this point. He got to the NBA. Like, this was never not an option for Hawkins. Like, this was never not an option for him. He knows how to do intangible things when he's not scoring the basketball. He's gonna rebound. He's gonna, you not even defensive rebounds. Like, you see him looking for putback dunks. You see him trying to get offensive boards. You see him, trying to chase down blocks when he is on the floor playing defense. Jordan Hawkins is a professional. Jordan Hawkins is a professional basketball player, and to be honest, like, he's probably, other than maybe CJ, the most prepared, and Brandon, I'll give it to Brandon. CJ and Brandon. Other than CJ and Brandon, he's probably the most prepared player on the team.
Yeah. Damn. That's a really good point. Ross, before we get to presenting about company bar located at 4600 Ferret Street, you had mentioned something, or maybe it was Lito. I don't know. One of y'all just mentioned something about playoffs. It was Lito. Lito had mentioned something about the playoffs. I want to hear both of y'all's thoughts on this, right? So, there are, there are big data people out there, and they'll say, well, this lineup works, this lineup doesn't work, this lineup has a plus rating, this has a minus rating, so on and so forth, right? And so I put out a tweet today stating that whatever it was, looking through some lineups, who has the highest pairing with Zion Williamson, the highest 3-point percentage pairing? It's Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins. They're averaging 44% from deep on 5.1 attempts. And the reason why I think that's interesting, they should play, they don't play it much, is I feel like those three could really play in the playoffs. There was another tweet stating that, well, Najee, Jose, and Zion have a plus 7.7 rating. That group has a minus 0.6 rating. In a playoff situation, my point being, teams are going to want Jose and Najee to be on the floor way more than Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins, because it's way easier. This is a shot. It's a lot easier to game plan for Najee Marshall and Jose Alvarado and be like, look, guys, if they beat us, they beat us. But if Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins are out there, that coaching staff is having nightmares on how to guard Zion Williamson with shooters like Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins. So my point being, Jordan Hawkins getting DNPs and not being able to play with Trey Murphy and Zion Williamson, seeing what you have, I feel like that only hurts you moving forward, because I feel like you should be experimenting, because these type of lineups can really help you out in the postseason.
Yeah, it goes back to, I think, one of the huge question marks we all have with this team, and it's what the hell happens to Zion Williamson in a playoff setting, right? Because that floor that's already pretty small is going to feel like this. There's going to be 8 people standing inside the paint. They're going to dare Brandon Ingram to make 3-pointers. They're going to let Jonas stand out there and shoot whatever. Teams are not going to let Zion get 30. Not going to happen. And if Brandon wants to dribble into a bunch of tough contested mid-ranges, they're going to let him and welcome it. If he wants to shoot a bunch of threes, they're going to let him and welcome it. It's just how it's going to be. It's a more physical. We've seen this time and time again. The way you combat that is exactly what you just said, like putting shooters out there. You know what a team, you said something funny to me just now, which was the way teams are going to game plan for Jose and Najee. I don't think they game plan for him at all. I don't think they change one thing. They do nothing. They're not part of the game plan. They're not. They might remind you that Jose has a trick, right? Hey, just make sure when this dude's in, you don't get pickpocketed. They're not changing anything about the way they defend. If the game plan is pack the paint, build a wall, you're not changing that because Jose and Najee are out there. You are going to change that if Jordan Hawkins and Trey Murphy are out there, though, especially if they knock down 2 threes early, right? If you make a sub in the first quarter, next thing you know, oh, shit. Because we've seen the snowball effect that has. And so I think it's criminal that we're not playing more of these lineups, especially now with Dyson hurt. You sort of have no reason not to be leaning into these lineups of like, hey, how do we just run somebody out of a gym, right? We're up 7. How do we get it to 17? We're up 9. How do we get it to 20? Instead of some of these more conservative lineups.
The actual opposite. We're up 20. We're up 20. It goes down to 5.
Right. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for Jose. We've seen Jose come in and have big impacts. There is a time and a place. We just talked about it on our last after the Wizards game. Najee has had a great couple weeks. I'm not saying don't play those guys. I'm just saying play this guy too. Okay? We're just talking about 10 minutes here, 12 minutes. That's not that much. I would there's some lineups I would really, really love to see that we just haven't seen much of. But in a little
What's
bit.
your top one? What's your top one?
You guys are going to say Zion. I'd love to see Hawkins play with CJ more.
Well, I think it's one of the best rated lineups, by the way. It's CJ and Hawkins.
There you go.
He has one of the highest ratings.
I think in some of the little bit I've seen of them out there, there's a cohesion. They can both shoot. You're now worried about how spread the floor is. Heaven forbid Trey Murphy's out there or if they're playing with a Zion or Brandon, right? the floor just totally changes. And CJ has become a willing passer. He's become those guys. I don't know if it was Chaz or Lito. Somebody said a smoker always finds a smoker. And that's
Chaz.
kind of how I feel about CJ and Hawk a little bit. Like a shooter knows where another shooter wants the ball. CJ sees Hawk, like, because CJ at one point was playing like that. He wasn't always a point guard. At one point, he was Jordan Hawkins. And so those two guys, I would love to find a way, and it's about tinkering with lineups and how do you sort of mess with the rotation so that you get that. But those two guys, I would really like to see play together more.
Leo, go ahead. Lots to unpack there. A lot of talking topics. That was, well said there, Ross.
Shout out to Ross, man. Giving us the shit we deserve. Listen, to answer Ross's question though, if you want to run a team out of gym, you put a horse in. You put the Ferrari in the game. You put the guy in the game who has a particular skill set, word to Liam Neeson, a particular skill set that nobody else on the team has. You drafted him. You saw the quote, his whole draft profile. Like, he's a movement shooter. He moves without the ball so well. Like, he's high volatility and limited. He needs limited resources. He doesn't even need a lot. Like, he really like is a guy who can explode for 30 on give him 15 shots, right? Like, if you give Jordan Hawkins 10 or 15 shots, anyways, listen, I don't remember what Jose and Najee are shooting from three, but what I do know is this: I've seen them in the game with Zion and or Brandon, and I've seen Zion and Brandon still get doubled. Other teams don't even respect it. I think at one point Jose was shooting like 40 and Najee was shooting like 41, something crazy. And you know what the other team said? We're not even gonna rotate to them. Fuck them. Let them have it. Whatever. It doesn't even matter. I'm witnessing teams like not even willing to like go send a man over there. Like Ross said, nobody's game planning for those two players, and that's no disrespect, but
it's just they're going to live with those guys beating you. They're just not going to live with Jordan Hawkins.
It just is what it is. And listen, in a short amount of time, I've seen Jordan Hawkins put fear in teams. I can't remember who we played or what team it was, but I can tell you, I listened to their broadcast, their commentary, and every time the ball swung to Hawk, their commentators were like, "Man, anybody with this guy." Who the fuck is
Dallas
this guy? It was the Dallas game.
When he went off for 31-1 without like Brandon and Zion. It was ridiculous.
I'll give you a perfect example of, I think, what Lito's talking about. And it wasn't Hawkins, but it was Trey. The impact those guys can have on a game. Think about the Clipper game.
Yeah.
Trey Murphy hit those 2 or 3 in the first quarter.
4, I thought.
Or whatever he hit, right? Just watch the effect it has on the other team, on the crowd, on your own team. Again, somebody, because that's not it's the NBA. Najee can go make 2 in a row. Jose can make 2 in a row. Hell, they might make 3 in a row.
Right.
But to Lito's point, those guys have been in the NBA. They're a known commodity at this point. They don't care. The other team doesn't care. Good. If that happens, hey, fuck it. Right? If somebody like Trey Murphy or Hawkins, known shooters, known flamethrowers, hit 2 in a row, shit changes. The whole tone changes. The mood changes. The other team changes. Their defensive
you got to get out there. You got to go get them.
The whole thing changes. That's why those guys are valuable, especially come playoff time. They can change the way the other team. You make teams react to you. They have to change what they want to do because of what you're doing.
Damn.
Not the other way around.
Y'all two have been fucking awesome.
It's panic mode, man. It's panic mode. They going out. They hit a shot. It's panic mode. You sending them into a scramble.
But it's to the point. It's like I've been through so many times. Like you're yelling at the guys. He's the shooter. He's the shooter. Like it just upsets you. It raises your awareness, and then when he hits it again and again and again, it's just absolutely deflating. Leo, I thought this is probably one of the most interesting comments of All-Star Weekend. It is Jalen Rose talking to Jordan Hawkins.
Potential will be playing on Sunday, right? So let's make it happen, man.
Do you think that he could be playing someday on Sunday in
Absolutely.
the All-Star game?
Absolutely. Hey, let's take it a step further. Not even just in the All-Star game. He's gonna be in a 3-point competition. He's probably gonna be he could next year potentially he could be in a Rising Stars game again. He could be in the 3-point competition next year. He's obviously not gonna make an All-Star game next year, but I do believe in his future. If he lives up to the potential that I see in him, I see no doubt of him making. Bro, you talking about a guy. We're talking about a guy, and this is nothing to do with in-game shit, but you're talking about a guy who's just willing to forsake his workout to watch Steph Curry work out. You're talking about a guy who, if you saw when Hawk got drafted this summer, he was playing pickup games with KD and Edwards, and he was playing with guys who are in the NBA and people consider great. I think Hawk got a quiet confidence that he's really chasing greatness. He's not happy to be here. He expects to be here. He expects greater of himself than what it is that he's been able to deliver so far. And some of that shit has not been his fault, obviously, with the playing time. But yeah, I definitely will be able to see him playing on Sundays. Bro, at some point in his career, he gonna make 200 threes in a season.
I mean, look, man, we were. I wouldn't say I was very serious to begin the year, but I kept joking he's on pace to break Keegan Murray's rookie 3-point record. I'm thinking like, holy shit, if he would have played consistent minutes,
he'd have smoked it.
I really did. Ross, do you believe it? Do you believe that he would have, if he got consistent minutes, consistent run, he could have gotten Keegan Murray's record?
What is it?
It's like one. Hold up. Give me a second. Y'all might want to talk.
Oh, my bad. I was looking it up too. Ross, you think he could be? Do you think he can make an All-Star team in his tenure in the NBA?
Man, that's tough. It's tough because I started asking myself, so how many All-Star games has Clay made? 4 or 5, but the team was so. It was ironic you just asked that because I was watching a little bit of the pregame stuff when Draymond was talking to whoever, and they asked him something about the teams, and he made this comment about how this year's West team, All-Star team, looks like some of the earlier West All-Star teams, and he named some guys. He was like, this team doesn't have any Draymond Greens on it. Any guys that made the team because their individual team success was so good that they had to put guys on there. And so it was kind of a moment of honesty, I think, from Draymond's point of an understanding of I'm not a traditional All-Star. I probably didn't deserve to make any All-Star teams from a talent perspective, but I made some because the team was so good that they couldn't just put Steph on there. I think for Hawk to make it, it would have to be a situation where we were like a 1 seed, we're talking down the line or something, or a 2, we were just playing really well. Otherwise, he'd have to be in this, scoring 23, 24, 25 points a night, which I'm not saying he can't do, but
yeah, I understand.
I would say it's iffy. It's iffy. He would have to, I think, improve a lot.
Yeah.
Not saying he can't do it, but it's just tough because he's not, he's a scorer, right? So he's going to get there by scoring. And he's
Ross, what's crazy? That was kind of what I didn't know you were going to go in that direction, but that is what I was thinking. I was thinking Draymond Green made an All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to Draymond, but individuals nothing he can do in the All-Star game will pop off on the screen to me, right? Then I started thinking, fuck, Kyle Korver made an All-Star team, and Kyle Korver averaged 12 points that year.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Keegan Murray hit 206 threes.
I was gonna say it had to have been 200 because I think they got some.
Bro, I'm telling you, he was.
Already. He would definitely look if he was playing. Shit, if he was still playing 20 minutes a night, it'd have been close. He'd have gotten close because
he's made 94 already. He's made 94.
Yeah. He'd have gotten
made
close.
94.
Let me look at somebody hold on, let me pull something up real quick. I'm just looking at a guy like Buddy Hield. What's the most Buddies ever made?
Shit, that's
Buddy's
made.
Buddy.
Buddy Buddy has made. Holy shit.
Dude, yeah, Buddy's numbers are ridiculous. Me and Lito found this out too.
But that's my point. Is like so there's some years Buddy made in the 270s and 280s. Now, and that was playing,
That's crazy.
25 minutes a night.
Yo, you know what's crazy? So on the Pelicans, CJ has he's made 139. Jordan Hawkins is second. He's second.
Ryan?
CJ
Where's
made
Matt Ryan?
139. That's crazy. I would have thought that number was higher. I would have thought he'd have been in the 160s. I'd have thought he was well on his way to 200 plus.
Lito, where's Matt Ryan at?
14.
Oh, damn. My guy. Rest in peace. Well,
but listen. Jordan Hawkins has made 94. Trey has 75 and Brandon has 72. Herb also has 72.
that's a problem right there that we don't even need to go into, but that's a problem. That's a major problem.
It's a 30. It's a 30 shot drop off to the next person. Jose Alvarado with 45.
Play Jordan Hawkins, please. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. See y'all in a couple days.